Hi, Todd Pouliot, Gateway Financial. Again, mygatewaymoney.com is our website if you'd like to get in touch with us. Wonderful again to have you back for another flow chart here. Recently, I've been posting flow charts that are a little bit more personal to me. And today we're going to be talking about donor advised funds. My wife and I like to do a lot of charity for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And we host a wine opener to generate money for those research and development for that wonderful charity, and a volleyball tournament we've done for 15 years or so with some friends. And we really appreciate the work that went into this flow chart. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I did putting all this together for you. Again, subscribe, thumbs up button, ring the bell to get more notification. And we appreciate you being here and sharing our videos with others. In the charitable giving realm, donor advised funds, commonly referred to as a DAF, have become increasingly popular and a valuable planning vehicle. They offer several advantages that allows our clients to optimize their tax planning as they streamline and fulfill their philanthropic goals. Many of our clients could benefit from the flexibility and simplicity of a donor advised fund while supporting the cause that is most important to them. So we have this flow chart about strategic giving, and it covers several key factors: charitable goals, tax planning goals, which are a big part of this as well, funding strategies, the basic mechanic of a donor advised fund, and alternative charitable giving strategies. I also want to remind you of another video for broader discussion on planning and preparing is what issues should I consider when establishing my charitable giving strategy. So as we always do, we're going to share our screen with you to view the flow chart. And again, for 2020, obviously make sure 2022, excuse me, obviously make sure you work with a very good tax preparer, CPA or enrolled agent that is familiar with these rules. They're just not standard rules for the average tax preparer that you can get up the street. So make sure you work with somebody who really understands donor advised fund and charitable giving and how to make sure that you're doing it properly. So did you make substantial charitable gifts on an annual basis? Is that something you normally do? If that answer is yes, do you typically claim the standard deduction? Yes. Well, consider bunching your charitable contributions into certain tax years to allow for itemized deductions. Again, I want to pause here. I want you to remember the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 does sunset in 2025. So that is the current state of where we're at on tax law. However, with the change of administration, that could sunset or be eliminated even earlier. So you want to make sure that you understand current and possibly projected, or even things that are going on inside of Congress now for some proposals on tax planning. If you typically do not take the standardized deduction, do you want to retain control over the timing and the distribution of these charities? That's important to a lot of people who come to us and say, I'm very involved in this charitable organization, but you may not be at some point in the future. Things can change within a charity. They could have changes of their own administration. We choose the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation because of what percentage of the assets ultimately makes it towards research and towards a cure. So that's why we choose it. But hey, if something changes down the road, maybe we want to control where those assets are going to go. So if you are in and you do want to maintain and retain control, do you want to make the gifts that benefits both charitable and non-charitable beneficiaries? The non-charitable would be possibly your family. Let's say that answer is yes. You could use a split interest gifting strategy using qualified charitable lead or remainder trust to accomplish your tax and legacy planning goals. We can make an entirely separate flow chart on what those mean by a charitable remainder and a lead trust, but very important tools if you want to make sure that your charity's taken care of and also your family. So understand how those, and that's a really great topic to talk to about with your financial advisors. And if you don't want your family involved, just consider that donor advised fund, the DAF, and that will manage your charitable gifts both during your lifetime and part of your estate plan. That's one of the huge advantages of the donor advised fund is it can do that. And if you don't want to maintain control, consider making gifts directly to the charity that's funded with the appropriate assets, and possibly the QCD, qualified charitable distribution, possibly out of your IRA. So we've covered a really good portion over on this side. And if you make large charitable gifts to offset tax liability, we just come right back through to that flow chart. And if you're not going to, do you intend to make numerous and or substantial charitable gifts at your death? Yes. Then that becomes that question: how do you want that charity to be involved with your family and estate plan? And if not, DAF is not likely a strategy that could be beneficial. So one of the things about this QCD over here is this can lead to other conversations. Do you have highly appreciated securities or assets that you would like to donate? If that answer is yes, consider gifting these assets in kind to your donor advised fund. This allows you to transfer the full market value without any realized taxable gains. For example, we have a client who had a 661% growth on a stock asset that they've owned for many years. It's highly beneficial for them to take that individual asset and put that into the donor advised fund and keep all of that as a charitable write-off for themselves on their tax return, rather than liquidating that gain, paying some of that in a long-term capital gains cost, which is currently at 15% for their bracket, and then donating that money. You can take all of that and put that towards the donor advised fund. And if you do not have highly appreciated securities, take a charitable deduction in the year of any gifts to your donor advised fund. So if it is just a cash contribution to your donor advised fund. Although you can make complete gifts for income tax purposes, you retain control over the timing and amount of the ultimate distribution to the charities. And again, that's the biggest thing with donor advised funds that a lot of our clients like to see, is that they still retain control. And retaining control for clients with their money and their assets is very important. And then during your lifetime, you can recommend grants from your donor advised fund to an eligible 501c3 public charity, and in the name of the donor advised fund, or you can do it anonymously. We've been very fortunate with some of the benefits that we've run. We've had some anonymous donations, and quite frankly, we don't know who to thank, but here we will. Thank you very much. We much appreciate all that work. And at your death, you may name a charitable beneficiaries and impose a grant schedule, and or name a successor to assume grant making responsibilities. And you can advise the use of your contributed funds, but the donor advised fund sponsoring the organization must have exclusive legal control over the assets that were contributed. This is a wonderful flow chart that we talked about charity and talk about doing well for others. People always ask us why we're involved in the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Is it because of our child? No, quite frankly, it's not because of our child. We do it because we have a healthy child. And I think that that's always something that people look at us and say, well, why are you doing this? Well, because we have a healthy child and we have an opportunity to help others. And I hope you would take this flow chart and find out what touches your heart and what touches your soul. And hopefully we can make cystic fibrosis, which we kind of call CF, stand for cured found, and we can move on to the next charitable organization that we'd like to encounter. But again, wonderful workflow. Obviously, this one's a little bit personal for me, and I appreciate you tuning in and learning more about this in particular, this tool in particular with donor advised funds, how they work, why I should do one, why I should not do one, control issues, how it works with tax planning. And again, just hit that thumbs up button. We much appreciate as many thumbs ups as we can get, and helps with our algorithm. And subscribing also helps. We much appreciate you, and you all have a great day.